Welcome to the final section in this chapter. I'm calling this a side quest. We're going to talk about inflation. It doesn't quite follow as nicely as all of the other sections in this chapter, but it is relevant. And the point of talking about inflation in this chapter is sometimes the same number for a data point doesn't mean the same thing at different points in time. Inflation, we primarily think about money. In other words, what's the purchasing power of a unit of currency? And that can change over time as prices change. So we're going to stick with that example. So let's take a look at a first example in a gaming world. Let's go back to Duolingo. Sorry I jumped to the other side of the screen, but I was covering what I wanted to show you. So in Duolingo, there's also something like gold, right? A lot of games have gold or some form of currency that you can collect and use to purchase items that help you. Duolingo has you collect lingots. I always thought it was ingots, but I guess it's lingots. And there are some things you can purchase. Recall one of the things that I care about are my achievements. Because what I might want to purchase with those lingots has to do with these achievements. One of the achievements has to do with a streak. How many days have you achieved your goal in a row? Right? And I'm at 244 out of 250. Now, we're busy people, and so I might not have time every day to do a little bit of Duolingo. So maybe I can purchase something with these lingots that I've collected, and indeed I have. A streak freeze. What a streak freeze does is allows you to miss a day and not lose your streak. So how much does a streak freeze cost? Let's say it costs 10 lingots. It doesn't say here, and I honestly don't remember, but let's say it's 10 lingots. How do you earn these lingots? Well, the lingots are described in the shop. So for example, every time you level up, you earn 1 lingot. And let's ignore some of these other ones. Let's just suppose that leveling up is the only way to earn a lingot. So every time you level up in a skill, you earn 1 lingot. That means if the streak freeze costs 10 lingots, that means I have to level up 10 times and then I can purchase a streak freeze. Now let's say next year Duolingo changes it so that the streak freeze costs 12 lingots. Well, that means now instead of leveling up 10 times in order to purchase a streak freeze, I have to level up 12 times. That's inflation. Now the question, we often hear inflation quoted as a percentage, so the question is, what is the percentage change in that example? Well, let's take a look at what that might be and how we would calculate it. So percent change is relatively simple. We take whatever the new value of something is, we subtract the old value, and divide by the old value. Right? So what we're doing here is this is telling us the absolute change, new minus old, in units of the quantity we're looking at, how much it changed in absolute figures, but turning it into a relative figure because we want to know if that's significant or not. So in my example, the cost of a streak freeze went up by 2 lingots. Is 2 lingots a lot or is 2 lingots a little? Well, let's look at how much 2 lingots is compared, that changes compared to where we started. So in this example, the new is 12 lingots. The old is 10 lingots. So my percent change, I'll just call it percent change, that is 12 minus 10 over 10. And we calculate that, and that's 2 over 10, which is 0.2, which is 20%. That's a pretty significant increase. So in my hypothetical example, the price of a streak freeze went up 20%. So in this game, that represents 20% inflation. The way to think about this is it takes 20% more, we have to level up 20% more often in order to purchase a streak freeze. In the next video, we're going to look at how this is actually measured in the economy using something called the Consumer Price Index.